What's up, traders? This is Vee Trades, and today we'll be doing a technical analysis breakdown for strategy B with the ticker symbol MSTR. I will first be going over what I see in the daily chart and finish the video off with the weekly chart. This video is for entertainment purposes only. Please trade at your own risk. So if you haven't checked out my podcast I did with Jor, make sure you guys check it out. It was a great interview. We went over a lot about Bitcoin and Bitcoin treasury companies. Definitely packed with a lot of value. Highly recommend watching it, especially if you're an investor in MicroStrategy, because their company is backed on Bitcoin. So you better believe you need to understand as much as you can about Bitcoin, or else you're not going to have the conviction to hold it. So make sure you guys check out that interview I did with Jor. It was yesterday. It's hour and about 17 minutes, I believe. Hour and 17 minutes. Just put on 2x, and you can finish it in a little bit more than half an hour. So definitely check that video out. So let's take a look at the technicals for MSTR. Well, today was basically a slight gain from yesterday's close. Overall, not much to talk about in that aspect, but I think it's still looking bullish. And let's go over that right now. So when I look at the chart, what are we doing here? Why are we looking at the price? Well, we're analyzing the market participants for the stock. We're analyzing, the aggressive buyers. We're analyzing the aggressive sellers. We're trying to figure out, where it's most likely headed. Where is the buyers going to continue to drive up the price? Are the sellers going to turn it around and drive down the price? So that's what we're doing when we look at the price chart. So as right now, does this look like there's aggressive buyers or sellers in the market right now? Not really. However, the long-term momentum is still up, so we can go off of that. So in the short term, it still looks bullish, and I'll go over the reason why, even though price hasn't really done much. So this was the prior range right over here. Price was stuck between that 390 and 360 level. It was chopping back and forth in this range. It had this breakout right here. This green candle was able to break out on this day right here on Monday, June 30th. But the next day later, it failed. It was a failed breakout. Price came back in that range. And then the next day later from there, it was a very volatile week, it looks like. Price went back up. It tried to break out again. And this time, we did not see price get back in the range as of right now. So it looks like it could be holding on to the top or forming some sort of support now. So we had a failed breakout. Price came back in the range, breakout again, but this time it doesn't look like it's failing. It looks like it could be succeeding, building support for higher prices. So is that guaranteed? No, but that's what it looks like it's doing. It's different than what it did before. So I think the higher probability is we stay outside of the range for higher prices. And then we have this upper sloping trend line in play, which shows that buyers are trying to move at this angle in the future. So as long as this holds, then we could see price get up to the top side of the channel right about here into the 500s. 550 is the measure move target as well. We have one leg up right here. Market generally moves in twos, second leg up, and is targeting right around 558. Could take longer, could take shorter, but as of right now, I'm looking for bullish targets because it looks like price is trying to move up higher. Definitely taking its time, but it looks like it's trying to move up higher. And last but not least, there was this downward sloping trend line in play. You take this trend line, drag it across the swings right over here, and it looks like the reason that first breakout failed was because this downward sloping trend line, and then we saw a huge rejection, but then price bounced from the upper sloping trend line. We broke out, and now we're outside of the downward sloping trend line. It could be back testing it for some sort of support. So you could say it's like back testing it for some sort of support, just like we're back testing the range for some sort of support. So it could be a new level, a new floor that price is going to be rejected off of towards the upside. So as right now, this chart still looks bullish, in my opinion. Someone else might have a different analysis than me, but at the end of the day, who will be right? It's what the market will decide. So as right now, I'd say it's likely we still see higher prices. It's taking its time. But overall, things are still bullish. It's not in the range. It's not below the trend line. It's above the bullish trend line. It's above the highs of the range. Measurement target still in play, not invalidated. This thing still looks pretty good, poised for higher prices. So that's what I see on the daily chart for MSTR. I would say, don't discount it. Definitely taking a lot longer than people expected. Let's say look at Bitcoin's chart. Bitcoin's chart, similar situation going on. Let's go to Bitfinex. So we have price basically near its all-time highs. It was below this downward sloping trend line. We saw a little bit of rejection here. Price sold off. Bulls were able to come back with force. And then we tested it twice. You see there's two red candles testing it. So we went up higher, tested the trend line once, went up higher, tested the trend line twice. Now it looks like it could be done with that, a double test of the trend line, this downward sloping trend line for higher prices. I think this is upper sloping trend line in play here too. So you take it off this body right here to the swing, and it looks like we're respecting this upper sloping trend line. So I think it's inevitable for Bitcoin to continue higher in the future and very soon as well. MSTR should follow not too far behind. So this looks pretty good, in my opinion. And I think sometime this week we might see the push up higher. So all I have for MSTR on the daily chart and Bitcoin. Let's take a look at the weekly chart to wrap up the video. Here's a look at the weekly chart, and so far so good. It hasn't changed much. Not much else to talk about. Bitcoin, the weekly chart obviously doesn't change every day; it changes every week. But things are still looking pretty good. It's a nice uptrend channel, higher highs, higher lows. We haven't seen a breakdown yet of the trend line or the channel, so this looks pretty good for higher prices. Yeah, that's all I have to say about that. They just released their Q2 unrealized gain of about $14.05 billion. So as an operating income, that kind of brings them up to the top 10, I believe, of companies on the S&P 500. So they even have about, $65 billion worth of assets, cash assets, whatever you want to say. That brings them into the top 11 in terms of S&P rankings of treasury companies. So those treasury companies like Nvidia, Apple, Microsoft, and those are trillion-dollar companies, while MSTR is only $108 billion. So you can see if it 10x's from here, that brings it to a trillion-dollar market cap, which brings it to a $4,000 price target, which would be technically possible. Even just based off the chart, it's telling me $4,000, but even on a fundamental basis, in theory, it could be worth not too long in the future, $4,000. Who knows how long it'll stay up there, but that is the potential target in play. So let's take a look at that real quick. It's on the monthly, and this is a really nice uptrend. You can see how nicely structured this is versus the prior uptrend. Here's the prior uptrend, and look at this uptrend. I'm pretty sure you guys can see the difference, that the second one has a more like a staircase pattern to it, while the first one was like a rocket ship, and it ran out of fuel, and then it crashed back down right to where it took off from. This is more structured, so even if we do see a crash, it's probably not going to come back to where it started. It's not going to take back all this gain right here, most likely. It's more structured. A lot of support has been built up, and this looks like it's still on par for higher prices. It's on track for higher prices because of this structure that it's going in, and it's more sustainable. That's the key word, is sustainable. The prior bull market was unsustainable. It can only last a short amount of time. This looks like it's lasting a long time now. We're still just going up higher and higher highs and higher lows. And this month, even though it's hasn't had a good start, it's kind of neutral. It's not really bearish. You can see it's a doji candlestick, which is a cross. It's not bullish. It's not that bearish, but it just started. So this could be a big green candle, for the month of July. So let's see how this develops. But as right now, I'd say things are looking pretty good. I think a lot of people are just worried. Me personally, I look at this every day, but you don't have to, because, it's not really changing that much every day. But overall, things are still going according to plan, and looking for that $4,000. That would be probably where I would be exiting, depending on the chart, right? So I'm looking at, the trend line. So if we start breaking the trend line, then obviously, what's the point of holding it? And again, it's not just break of the trend line, because we can definitely break it and recover it, or we can break it and start a slanted one, a slightly shallower one. It's more like you break the trend line, you see the overextension, you have to pile in a bunch of other technical things. But overall, this is still looking pretty good for higher prices. So all I have for MSTR on the daily weekly charts. This is Vee Trades, and thank you for your time.